So we run a yearly survey about the consumer sentiment globally, touching 80% of the population, including Saudi and UAE. What we have seen for the first time in the last 5 years is that the consumer sentiment is trending up. So there is a growing optimism within consumers in Saudi today. That is actually that we see already in the performance of some of the sectors in terms of growth in Saudi. So I think that's the number one big trend, because in the last 5 years the consumer sentiment was down. So for example, for Saudi nationals, 49% of them are optimistic in Saudi. So last year it was 39%, so a jump of 10 points in 1 year, which is a big jump. In addition, there are other trends that we have been talking about in terms of the consumer just becoming more and more demanding and more sophisticated. So looking for more and more convenience, which is driving a lot of e-commerce growth. So this region is one of the fastest growing regions in terms of e-commerce, so online sales. And also looking for a lot more value for money. So especially the middle and the lower income class, they are mainly driven only by price and promotions. Even the upper income echelons also are less brand loyal. So they only trade up, which means paying more for a product if they understand really the value and in the ingredients or the performance of the product. And that is something which is very important for the consumer companies as well as retailers to understand basically the segmentation of behavior of the different consumers. The consumers are getting a lot more transparency nowadays about prices, about the product characteristics. They have access to a lot more products than before because of the online availability. So they're able to compare and make a bigger choice. 5-10 years before, so the choice was very limited. So they were buying whatever was there and they were much more brand loyal. Today they are actually shifting from a brand to another. Technology is a big disruptor. So technology not only gives access to consumers, so consumers, especially here in Saudi, they discover the products and the brand through social media. So today, if you want to really attract millennials, right, you'll have to interact with them and engage them well before they come to your store. So this whole digital marketing field is new, right, and very important for retailers. And then technology also is driving the rapid growth of e-commerce. So now as a retailer, if you have stores, then you need to think about your presence online. How can you add more omni-channel products and services within your store where the consumers can, for example, search online, come to the store to fulfill, getting delivered at home. So all of a sudden, all of the different channels work together in one journey for the consumer, and it should be seamless for the consumer. So I think the challenge of retailers today is that they're facing many disruptions at the same time. A consumer-led disruption, where the consumers all of a sudden are being spoiled, if you will, by different offerings. So if I use Uber or Careem or I use Airbnb, I expect the same experience if I go to a shop in terms of instant fulfillment. When I get something, I need to have it. That's number one. The second one is the technology disruption that brings new competitors. So if you have the Amazon, Alibabas of this world, where they are all of a sudden your biggest competitors. So if you take the example of grocery retailers, so they are not only competing with each other, they're competing with marketplaces like Amazon and Noon. They're competing with food service players, where there is food delivery as well through technology. So there is a whole landscape of competitors that are coming. So, and then the retailer is in the middle. He needs to satisfy the consumer. There are other players better positioned in order to capture some of these trends. So hence for them it's a matter of how to invest, where to invest, how to have a proper digital and analytics strategy that is well executed in order to capture some of these trends. So I think the ambition of diversifying, right, from oil, I think is the right one. And the government has taken a lot of steps towards that. I mean, if you think about what drives economy, I think there are some sectors, but there is also consumer consumption and demand. And if you think about Saudi, a lot of Saudis actually are and were spending a lot of their money on entertainment and fashion and shopping outside of the country. I think one of the big trends that we will see is actually the repatriation of demand, where they could spend more time in Saudi, in the country, spending time outside of home, and spending basically their money on fashion, luxury, and many other categories within the country. And then tourism, right, is a big one also that will just get that demand stay in Saudi. And this is one pillar, right? Retail, consumer, and tourism is one of the pillars to diversify the economy.